Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another very exciting beta read. Oh my goodness. This is going to be great. It's a rainy Sunday. And what do you do on rainy Sundays? You read. This is amazing. So, this is the second beta read video I've done today. This is going to be amazing. I'm doing other Fiverr beta reads. So let's just jump right into this, you know what I mean? First and foremost, 5-star beta reader, okay, ghostwriter, editor, 4-time published author, amazing. But what do I love doing is reading, and I love helping other authors. That's why I started this channel. So, real quick, let me plug in my books. Why not? As I usually do. Bright Dreadful Sun, wonderful horror book. So amazing. So wonderful. Of course, we have Not Every Star in the Night. Such a good book. It's got to be linked down there. And, of course, my first book, Yamikage, the library version. All right, that's something. Authors, if you're watching this, get on the phone and call your people, okay? Call them. Don't say why is it not happening. Get on the phone and call them. Anyways, what are we doing here? We're beta reading, and I want to give a huge shout out to James Meyer for giving permission to read this. This is gonna be very exciting. The last one I just did is out of this world. What's the difference between a beta read that I do on Fiverr and a beta read like this one? Well, Fiverr beta reads take hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. They come with a written report, and it's literally line by line commentary. Where over here it's basically like a skim beta read at love at first sight type of thing. So I'm gonna treat this as I usually do, almost like a skim as a reader that's opening this up for the very first time. And one that just happens to be an experienced reader. So that's how we're going to look at this. Almost like a speed beta read. And these actually are being very helpful lately. I was like, let me start doing beta reads on video. And then I'm like, nobody's going to find that exciting. And then I'm like, okay, wait, it's actually going to help people. Now some people like it. Anyways, so here's the beta readers out there. If you guys want to be a beta reader, it's a fun thing to do. What's the key? What's the key to helping people? That's number one, you got to help people. But number two, critiques, okay? We're critiquing, which means a balance between constructive criticism and compliments, because they're both very important. As a beta reader, you're not trying to smash the author down, you're trying to lift them up a little bit. So with all you beta readers out there that are going a little crazy with that, calm down, John. Anyways, okay, let's just jump right into this. So this has no title, but it does say horror at the top, so I'm assuming it's a horror book. So it says horror opening. This is going to be exciting. So let's just go from the top. So first sentence in the novel, everybody knows. First sentence, first paragraph, first chapter. First page is very important to publishers and very important to readers. So you want to open on all cylinders. And with horror, I'm a horror author. It's about making people feel uncomfortable. Okay, you got to feel uncomfortable with your writing. You got to scare them. Present the unknown. Right now, you got to do that in a way that's executed well. So especially for open on all cylinders, get that emotion in there, get that sensory detail, get the setting, get it all in there, fire on all cylinders. You're supposed to create an aesthetic. We want to show, not tell, not tell, not show. And the first sentence is a tell, not show. It's a definitive tell, not show. So, you can comma that. I would actually omit that completely, because what follows is actually pretty interesting. It's got a little bit more of that aesthetic that we're supposed to set. And especially mystery novels, horror novels, even fantasy novels. All of this is so important when you're setting up an aesthetic. So yeah, get that moving. You want to definitely you want to storm out the gates on all cylinders here. Okay, so yeah, I would certainly, without the doubt, open with the next one, not the sharp brutality of the winter wind. Maybe take out not the sharp brutality of the winter wind. Now dense fog that takes my eyes away. It was that damn snare. Oh, that damn snare. That damn snare. Okay, so we're writing first-person perspective. Okay, it's pretty interesting. So when you're writing a first-person perspective, you want to make sure, number one, the narrative voice is identified, okay? Sometimes people will just have an unidentified first-person narrative, and it's like, what is going on? You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that this first person is going to be that main character, because that usually works well. Don't try to reinvent the wheel too much, okay? But at the same time, let's see. If you have a first-person perspective and you need the narrator to have that personality, go ahead and feel free to see who it is. You know what I mean? Some people like to break the wall with first person. They want to go into like this other type of weird thing. I would like it for the main character to be that first person narrator, because that's usually what often works the most. Either that or a character that's somewhat tied into the story. Right now we have first person perspective narrative, perspective unidentified. Anyways, the way she looks at me with such a false sense of security. Okay, pretty interesting. Here we go. The way she looks at me with such a false sense of security. So what we're doing is we're telling, not showing there as well. Same thing. This one's a lot better than It Kills Me. It Kills Me is a picture perfect definition of tell not show, that can be omitted. But what we have here is something that's a little bit more elevated, just a little bit more elevated, a little bit more specific. But go ahead, what is her nonverbal there? Like how does that actually literally look? I don't know, like a false sense of security could come in many different faces. Okay, so these are another, like we've elevated a little bit more, but get a little bit more specific. And I haven't the bravery to tell her what is she is deathly wrong. Okay, so I'm wondering if we're going to spend the whole book with these characters. Because if you're setting up this first paragraph on kind of this emotional tangent he's going on, the first paragraph is supposed to kind of just really set that foundation, set a strong rock, if you will. So I'm hoping this is going to be a very strong rock, and we're going to spend a lot of time with these characters. I actually don't have to size this one down, ladies and gentlemen. I could probably take a lot of time with this one because what I've received here is 1 page. And ladies and gentlemen, that's totally okay. Go ahead and send them 1 page. The other guy had 5 chapters. So that's why I'm a little bit winded. But okay, let's get back into it now. Her eyes dart from mine and return to the task at hand. Where are we? Where are we? This is another thing too. Get your setting in there. Fire on all cylinders. Show, especially in this first page, show that you can put it all out there, that you know how to do every single little element, okay? Present the character profile. Get your character profiles in there. But at the same time, get your setting in. Demonstrate that you know you write setting very well. Spend time with it, man. Take it slow. You don't want to just kind of thrust people in there. Make sure you're firing on all cylinders and you're elevating everything. Her eyes dart away from my... Okay. How are her eyes looking? What color eyes she have? What kind of ethnicity is she? What kind of... is she tall? This... Elevate your character profiles. Okay. Let's get that in there. Super sweet. But my sweet Lila. Okay. Maybe this is for aesthetic purposes. Totally fine. Maybe just something to note. A lot of times for memorability... Excuse me. Relatability, memorability, these are the things we want to do. I'm so sorry. I got something, maybe it was a bug or something just flew out my mouth. No, it didn't. I'm critiquing a horror and then bugs fly out my mouth. What I was going to say, oh, there it is again. Now, she probably edited that out, but I won't. Sorry. Last names tend to help with memorability. So, my sweet Lila, maybe she has a last name, maybe she doesn't. It doesn't, I don't know, just something to note. Secures the padlock. So it looks like we're in somewhere. We're inside of some building. A padlock. What kind of... Okay, this can kind of give us a little bit of clue as to like the time period. Ladies and gentlemen, time. Time is a part of the setting. What time is it? What time is it? Padlock. Sometimes when I think of padlock, sometimes I think of like a little old school, but we have padlocks nowadays too, so I can't assume. Okay, so they are inside a building, putting all her weight on it. Is she petite? Is she gordo? Is she big? Soft? Fire on all cylinders. Get that elevation in there. Elevate. Get moving. Don't info dump. There's a difference between elevation and info dumping. When you're elevating, everything has a purpose. You're expanding with a purpose. You're contributing to plot development or character. Character development, plot development. You're contributing to these things as opposed to taking away. When you info dump, you take away by bogging it down. Is that what's happening here? I would say no. It's fine, but double check that when you elevate, that you're doing it with a purpose. She looks at me with that innocent smile. This is one thing that I'm seeing a lot here is there is so much telling, not showing. Get a lot of authors get out of the habit of telling, not showing. Sometimes this is what I've been seeing a lot lately too with the manuscripts I'm getting. Sometimes people, especially the first drafts, what they're doing nowadays, or well, maybe not everybody, but what I've seen nowadays is that first draft will be a little bit more innocuous, really stripped down, and then during the second draft they'll start elevating and expanding these narratives. So that's pretty interesting. It looks like this is kind of like a new work. Some people just like to go as they go. Just make sure you know your fundamentals. Make sure you can execute your fundamentals and elevate them. If you can get through that, what's the next defense be? First piece of dialogue. Okay, so this is just nothing bad or good. It's not even here. Screen is over there, by the way. Okay, here we go. First dialogue. We got first dialogue coming up. That first piece of dialogue, make it memorable. Make it almost like symbolic in a way. Make it huge. Make it aesthetically pleasing. But moreover, it's not bad or good. Just double check your first dialogue. Just something... Is it satisfying? Is the presentation good? Could you use stylizing? These are things you could kind of look through. If she can get through that, what should the next defense be? She hushes out, facing the door, with intense seriousness. Intense seriousness is kind of like they mean the same thing. You can kind of take one out there. But also at the same time, you also got to show not tell. How does she look? Introduction is for introducing. So with that being said, go ahead, like elevate it. The next thing we're going to be, after you present your characters, you elevate the character profiles and you pepper in that aesthetic. You're moving into the inciting incident. Okay, that's what's kicking off the story at large. It almost seems like we already have a lot of information, and it's only one page. I only got one page, but not a bad thing. I'm not going to say it's not a good thing. It's all right, but remember, we're increasing tension in the rising action. We're raising tension, raising the stakes, and we're revealing. That's what the rising action is. We're putting breadcrumbs along the way. What I would like is an introduction with an elevated character profiles. We'll present them, almost focus a little bit on the backstory and the aesthetic. What kind of horror this is going to be. It's going to be like maybe supernatural, maybe it's going to be horror, I don't know. But then all of this lovey-dovey, like emotional tangent, I would pepper that into the rising action. Like I would just a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. Oh, we're starting off the book, and I already know, okay, so these two are in love. All right, so one is they're having emotional problems, and there's a lot of things going on here. It's almost like it kind of like pinpoint the character's story already. It's a mystery. That horror is making the reader uncomfortable. Especially, here's the thing about horror, too, is you make people fall in love with your characters. That's so important in horror movies. Horror novels. Hey, horror movies, too. Make your audience fall in love with your characters, just literature in general. And then the key to horror is like when you present a character that you love, you beat the crap out of them. Like, that's what Stephen King said, I believe, in an interview, and it just stuck with me. It's make characters you love and put them in horrible situations. So I'm hoping if I'm being presented with this character and their love, I'm hoping it goes through a lot. I'm hoping they literally get ripped to shreds. And I hope it's relatable, because especially once you have like this kind of small cut thing, you really got to relate it to the character. So this is kind of odd. A little way, like I don't think I've ever been in a romance that kind of sounds or feels like this. Maybe most people haven't. Tragically is the word I'm looking at right there. Tragically. I've never been in a tragic love. I've never been in a love that has this overlooming false sense of security. So what can we do with that? Focus on memorability. Focus on relatability. How can we make this relate to other people? Maybe you could even do a direct address. You could open up with that. Like, have you ever felt a love that has been so false? Have you ever felt such a love so damned? Almost, that's a little poetic. This almost reminds me of Carmela or Dracula, a little bit something like that. I actually received the vampire manuscript not too long ago, and it's just wonderful. I love that. So this is just kind of really bringing that nostalgia of that manuscript I received about a while ago. Okay, so we got the next strips of dialogue here. No man can surpass that door, not one. The rest of my love, the morning will come. Oh, that's sick. Oh, shit. And so shall its peace. I would leave that out just so it rhymes, but that's fine. I say, open the ladies and gentlemen, what did he do really good there, okay? And this is what a lot of action type of novels, a lot of fantasy novels are lacking nowadays. And what he did really well there is he's writing in present tense. Notice about like some of the biggest books are like Hunger Games. I usually use this as a big example for this. Write in present tense, especially when it calls for it. Because when you're writing in past tense, sometimes it could get a little bit boring. So right now, that has amplified a lot. I say, hoping to ease the worry. Maybe get some voice in there, elevate the tag a little bit. But writing in present tense could really make the difference between this and that, this, that, and the other. Because it's the way your mind works. If you're writing and you're reading about the past, it has a different effect on your mind than, oh, this is happening right now. Neurologically speaking, you got to understand how to play with the brain. You know what I mean? You got to understand what is it Socrates that says, know thyself, man, know thyself. This is something you got to do. Know yourself. Authors got to know themselves, and they got to know other people so they know how to appeal to the brain. That's just the psychology major in me coming out. But a perimeter alarm. What is that, my love? I would elevate this dialogue. Make sure it's contributing to plot movement. Make sure it's contributing to character development. My CPU usage is almost done, so I'm going to try to get through this. Thomas, please. I don't know what any of these characters look like. I don't know how they sound like. What I'm getting is like a lot of information about them. So with that being said, fire on all cylinders on this page. Take out a lot of this. So these onion chops, this what I gotta call them, the ping pong dialogue, that can be substituted if you wish. My recommendation is to put that in the midst of a beautiful narrative and also reconstruct it so it's moving the plot. Perimeter alarm, I don't know what that is. So I would actually stray away from foreign concepts so much. Also in this first page, like a perimeter alarm, I've never heard of that. So it's already kind of like giving this reader dissonance. So double check that. While I do not the threat she believes exists, I have worries of my own. Also double check this is just something to keep a note. Writing a first person perspective where the main character is that narrator, you got to watch out how their dialogue works because sometimes they clash. A lot of people look at me, the way I talk and the way I think, two different things, not too far off, but a lot you could understand that an author that knows internal dialogue versus external dialogue, you can definitely tell sometimes when they really understand that. I don't get enough of this yet. I don't have enough to determine that. It's not a big deal. But just something to note. She smiles and walks. How does she walk? Maybe how does she smile? Usually you wouldn't pepper that in all over the place, but when you're elevating character profiles, yes. Only a few steps away. Like, I don't know, to me, she could be like a green person that's 600 pounds, I know it sounds a little crazy out there, but it's that itself. Same with the voices. When I don't understand, when the character profiles aren't elevated and they don't have a voice, I just give them funny voices, and it distributes the reading experience in a weird way. Okay, so I feel my skin to the point is blistering as if I was standing in front of the gates of hell itself. A terrifying, comforting feeling as I've forgotten I couldn't feel my cheeks. Terrifyingly comfortable. We want to be making people uncomfortable. We want to make our characters uncomfortable, but it seems like he's just using a little bit of contrast there because he is uncomfortable. Despite a quaint home size. Okay, so we're moving into setting here. That's a whole different thing. Paragraphs usually have subjects. It's kind of weird. It's almost like a paragraph is almost like a microcosm of like an APA paper. Like, so you're gonna have that subject, your body, and your conclusion. That happens on a microscopic level. So that usually starts with the open. She smiles and walks. That's kind of like the subject. You're going and exploring the setting a little bit. And then the next thing that follows is despite our home's quaint size. That could be an entirely separate body. And you should elevate that setting now. That setting should be beautiful. It should be memorable. It should be huge. Huge. It should be just focus on your setting on that first page. Get it elevated. Because right now, all I know is it's a quaint home with a fireplace, a padlock, and some walls. I don't know what time period this is. I don't know what country this is. Lila seems like maybe, I don't know. There's just a lot up in the air here. So yes, focus on some specifics as well, but nowhere to elevate and nowhere to elevate. Setting could use some elevation. These characters need a lot of elevation. Grab a certain spell from the mantle, walk the way home. And now it's a service. Get rid of the tell not shows, show not tell, and that's very important. I gotta go. I've got 6 minutes left before my disk space fills. Great read. Keep it real. Excited for more from this author. I really hope it gets published. Keep on moving. You are on a great track. Okay, just putting your pencil down means you're on the right track. Writing that first word means you're on the track. But getting out there, and I already see your presentation is neat. Okay, I got a feeling that if I spend more time with these characters and they're elevated a bit, that I will fall in love with them. So, I almost like this macabre way he's speaking. I would love to see that throughout the novel. I would like to keep that consistency. If he's going to write in first-person perspective, know when to differentiate that internal dialogue from the external dialogue, the quotations from the non-quotations, because sometimes they clash. Make sure the dialogue is pushing things forward. I wouldn't spend so much time with like these odd perimeter alarm. I don't know what that is. So I would get rid of the foreign concepts, focus on the aesthetic. You're really close to setting a really nice one too. It's like right there. So go ahead, focus on the aesthetic, focus on your setting. Make sure everything is working together. Like everything should be holding hands, working together like a well-rounded machine. So that'll be it for today. This book does not have a title, but it is awesome. I like it. So keep it real. When you're writing, don't stop writing. Keep on moving. Subscribe. The books are going to be in the links, but keep on moving. And don't stop writing, people. Get a move on. Get your 500 words in. Get your 1,000 words in. And remember, writing horror. Make people uncomfortable. Make your characters uncomfortable. Take characters people love and put them in horrible situations. Ladies and gentlemen, see you later.